is a mentorship thing. Okay, and I am willing to come out and through my program, my initiatives, help lift other people.
You're an advocate. You are also helping other people. You see, there is also a psychological benefit to this. As you are helping other people, your problem become less.
A lot less.
The problem is still there, but it becomes smaller.
How many government parastatals I can be able to speak to about this thing, to get help for people like myself and my child. Advocacy for those living with special needs recently. It's not been a long time. I started this program and developed that passion for advocacy for people living with special needs. And it's based principally from my personal experience. When, like they would say, when life throws lemons at you, you choose to make lemonade out of it. And that is part of why I chose this topic to discuss with you today, because the stigma and all of the things surrounding it and the circumstances could make you want to go back into your shell and not speak up. And that was what happened to me for a long, long time, until I decided to embrace my purpose. I saw it as purpose, having brought a child to the world living with special needs. And so it took some time for me to accept that this is life's purpose for me. So I've come to understand that a lot of people in my shoes, I've met a lot of people who, yes, they want to wish it away. Sometimes I feel like that too. I want to wish it away. But it's here. And I've decided to embrace it and instead make out something great from my circumstances. Okay, that particular circumstance, I've decided to make out something great from it instead of wallowing in self-blame, self-pity, and a lot of what I did and what I didn't do, it comes into play. So I've come to meet people who think there's something they should have done that they didn't do. So I'm that woman that decided to embrace life's purpose for me, for my family, for my child, and be able to speak up for people like me, and also encourage people to come out and speak up, to get help, tell your stories, to get help. Because if you don't tell it, many people will not know where you are and they don't know how to help. And you wouldn't be able to live your life to the fullest. So that's basically who I am, that advocate, the voice that wants to speak for people who are underserved, who are, I hate to use the word less privileged, but yes, people with disability, people living with, not just living the way other people are living, people who are overlooked in the society.
Thank you for being there, for being the voice. It is very important that we have people that give other people the shoulder to cry on, as you call it sometime. I know of a woman, she's in the United States, though from Nigeria. She is within this field of special need of children uh, who have suffered some challenges, not based on not based on error on their part or even on the part of their parent, because sometimes life is not what we expect, no. And like you said, sometimes it gives you lemon, while some other persons might be having oranges. You don't need to throw away the lemon now. You need to look for what do you do with this lemon. Maybe you can make lemonade out of it. which make it more valuable now, which mean that you are going to make sense out of what have happened to you. Now,
Yeah.
in that, I'd like to share something with you before you go on, because I see that what you are talking about really is touching to your heart, is very, very centered to you, very close to you. And I think you need all the encouragement in the world to really keep on pushing on that, because it is good that you do what you really feel is right. So you see, there is a book by, it's an important book. It's called A Man's Search for Meaning. It's written by Viktor F. Frankl. Viktor F. Frankl is a Holocaust survivor. Now, imagine what would have been happening for somebody that is the only thing this person know that you are going to die the next day. They are going to torture you to death. They're going to put you in a dehumane way. But while he was still there, Viktor F. Frankl, he was not really preoccupied about that. He was continuously writing what he was writing. Of course, it doesn't mean that he was rejoicing. It's not about rejoicing. It's about not bringing yourself to die. It's like dying before the death come. I know also another person that I've interviewed here. He told me something important, that when the gods send a blind man to the battle, the blind man is expected to win. Only that you are going to win as a blind man do. Because you don't need to say now, okay, I'm not a very tall man or tall woman. I cannot reach there. No, maybe that is not where you need to go. Maybe you need to go this way or that way or this way. You see, you don't need to say, I'm not very educated, so I cannot do it. No, maybe you know how to talk. Maybe that's all you have to do. You don't need to say, well, I am not a politician, so I cannot fix the problem. No, there are some problems that we can fix ourselves. So I think whatever happens to us, whenever we find ourselves, irrespective of how challenging life will be, let us know that what is required of us is to make sense out of that. Because the sense we make out of it might end up helping us and also helping a lot of people. Unlike maybe when they just put us in a bed full of roses, we won't understand the meaning of life. We'll just live like babies all our lives.
Yeah.
Let's take a bit of time to learn about you, because that is what we do here. This is about storytelling.
Born in Owerri, Imo State. Okay, I grew up mostly in Owerri, did my basic education in Owerri, and I came to Enugu because of my university education. So I schooled at the University of Nigeria in Nsukka and graduated from the Department of Accounting, that's accountancy department. Okay, and within the year of my service, I got the job with Diamond Bank. And so I worked in the bank still in Enugu for about 5 years. And I lost my job. And then I started a fashion business here in Enugu still. So that was sometime in 2017. So I did the fashion business until 2022. But as at 2021 was when I had my baby, the one with special needs. I had 2 boys for her. And so 2021 marked a lot of turnaround in my life. Okay. And, after having a child and 5 days later, a lot of things were off about her. She was all healthy, all strong, and then, but I noticed she everything wasn't okay. She was jerking on her left leg consistently for 3 times. She'll stop and then she'll jerk again. So luckily, I had the number of the pediatrician who saw her at birth, and there were a few challenges during her birth anyway. So that was why I took the contact, and so I made a video and sent to the pediatrician, and that was how my journey to and fro the hospital began. Okay, this was on the 6th day. She was 6 days old at the time. So that marked a lot of change in my career, in my business. My business that was, at least for a young business, was doing well, flourishing at the time. But I couldn't focus. I couldn't concentrate. I had to, you know, I was scared I was going to lose my child and all that. I didn't know what was happening, until I got to the clinic that day. And the doctor, it wasn't even that day the doctor saw her. The nurses saw her. They took the normal vital signs and they said everything was fine. She was feeding well, no temperature, nothing. And the nurses thought I was crazy. They said, "Madam, your child is fine. This girl is beautiful. What did you say is wrong with her?" I told her I'm not crazy. And the doctor that saw the video is not crazy too. And he asked me to bring her in. So it was on the seventh day, that was the next day, the doctor came into the clinic and saw her, and they told me, your child is having seizures. I didn't know what that was. And I asked him, what was seizures? I was hearing that for the first time. Some of those things that happen and you don't even know they exist. So that was what happened. But he took some time to explain to me. And the way he kept sounding, I felt there was more to it, because he kept telling me, you need to be strong for her. You need to be there for her. You need to be this. You need to be that. And so it broke me. It broke me down for months. We were in and out of the hospital, from one scan to the other, from MRI, CT scan, EEG, a lot of tests and scans and medication. So, but that was a whole lot of turnaround in my career, in my life, because I was always crying. As long as I'm inside the house, I cry. But when I'm out there, you think, oh, she's such a strong woman and nothing is wrong. Because anyone that sees my child thinks nothing is wrong. But I know something was wrong. Okay. But I didn't know what it was. And the doctors, at some point, I was referred to the teaching hospital in Enugu here. And it seems everybody were asking the same question: what is wrong? What is wrong? I came to seek for solution, and the same people I'm meeting are asking me what is wrong. So it was a challenging moment for me and my family, and the little girl. Okay. And so that was how I got stuck. At that point, I realized I was stuck career-wise, life-wise, everything was at a standstill, and I had to just focus on my child. Okay. So that's basically a little about me and how all of the thinking about me started, So, but the university education, I can't even remember. Like I told you, working in the bank was the much I did, and my fashion business was something I did out of passion. So what I'm doing now was basically out of circumstance, and realizing that from one thing to another, my child became diagnosed for one thing and another, and I just needed to sit down there with her. I realized she was, when a child is having seizures like 20 to 30 times in a day, and what else would I have done? I couldn't leave her. I can't just leave her and go doing any other thing. So that was how my journey to freelancing, I started thinking of freelancing, think something I could do from the house, from the comfort of my home, while watching her, while still attending to her. And so that was how I started upskilling and started freelancing. And that was how I found myself as a graphic and creative designer, and so it's the career, for me, it's a career growth, and initially, along the line, I would never think I was going to be a graphic designer. If you called me like 10 years ago when I graduated from the university 10, 12 years ago, I wasn't going to believe that today I'll be a graphic designer. Okay, so you see how life happens. I was going to think, just finishing from accounting, I was applying to jobs in banks, and I got the bank job and I was doing it. And then later I went into the fashion business. I still felt I was going to build my fashion business a little and go back to the bank or any fintech industry, but today I'm doing business branding, graphic designing, and it's something I do and I enjoy it because it gives me time to still look after my child and look after my home and every other thing. So it's, like I said, the purpose, I have decided to embrace it, and tell myself that this is life's purpose for me, and I'm not going to let it break me. But I know there are a lot of people out there that their careers have gone south because of such situation. And I don't blame them, honestly. I've been in that shoes and I honestly understand what they have passed through and what they've been through. And that I am able to talk about it today is a lot of privilege. 1 year ago, 2 years ago, I wasn't able to speak about this situation. I can't tell you anything. I couldn't talk to anybody about it without going emotional. So I'd rather not speak. Okay.
So
So
how's your daughter now? That also is very important.
oh, she's beautiful. Like if you see her, like I tell you, when we get to the clinic, people always ask, "Are you the one who came to the clinic?" Or she's the one who came. But she's 3 years now and yet to achieve her milestone. We're still trying to get her to sit without support. So it's a lot. Um, but with a lot of therapy, physiotherapy, speech therapy, um, neuro, she's always with the neurologist and a lot of medications. Okay, at least her seizures have been greatly controlled. Okay, and so it's a plus because once the seizures are there, it could always lead to one thing or the other. Like we were told, that it was the seizures that led to the cerebral palsy, which she was later diagnosed of. Okay, she wasn't born with the cerebral palsy, but because the seizures were consistent, she had multiple different kinds, tonic-clonic. She had different kinds of seizures, in fact. And so it was from one medication to the other until it became controlled. So we are trying to help her achieve her milestones. Okay. And so this is, it's a step in the right direction for me. And
Thank
that's
you.
why I'm able about it.
Thank you for your courage. I salute your courage. That is important because, like I was saying before, we are not able to control what is going to happen. But when it does happen, we need to be strong to be able to face it. Depending on what you believe in, the God that you believe in will never allow anything to happen that you cannot carry. So you need to be strong. Maybe what you are learning can also be a contribution to humanity, to other people who are not as strong as you, so that you can help them to be strong too, because we are not in paradise. This life is difficult. So everybody
Honestly,
needs support. Maybe you are able to overcome, you put your oxygen mask on, and you can also help other people to put their oxygen mask on. Therefore, you will be satisfied because you are helping somebody.
honestly, yeah. Few, like I would say, I was speaking to one of my mentors and I said, few years back, after I left the bank, I always wanted to go for a master's. And if you'd ask me then, it was always in business, maybe business innovation, entrepreneurship, and things like that. But today, if you ask me, I want to go for a master's or a PhD. But it has to be special. I can't remember the last time I talked about any course that is not related to special education. Okay. And all the applications, all admission processes I've been doing, to further my studies is now for people or for courses relating to special education. Okay. It wasn't the same a few years ago. Okay. So the switch, it has taken me to a total switch. But the thing is, I just see that people need help. People like me, if the issue is that many people are scared of the stigma attached to such situations, children living with such condition. Okay, so they don't want they don't want to speak up. They don't want to tell anybody. It was the same feeling I had. Okay, that I'm telling you that a year ago, I wouldn't be able to speak to you going without going emotional. But today I'm able to speak about it, and I'm able to encourage other people. I'm able to set up an initiative and say, okay, let's educate people out there. So let's help them speak up. It wasn't something I could do on my own. It took time. I remember when I stumble on posts online, on LinkedIn, and I see such things and I just look away. Instead, I could just, the kind of feeling hiss and feel so bad that I saw something like that, and it's happening to me. But then it was just one post, one interaction. I saw a particular post of an advocate for autism on LinkedIn. Her name is Dr. Adeola Folorusho. So she made a post, and I went and commented on that post and said something like, I can relate to this because my child is having the same difficulty. She took it up from there. She came inbox and she shared her phone number and we got talking. And she told me, look, it's a purpose. There's a reason why God gave you that child. You need to embrace it. You need to speak up. You need to stop hiding, because after hearing my story and after we went through a lot of conversation and what I have been through, she said, I know you've been through a lot, but you need to stop feeling like there's something you did wrong. You need to stop feeling like, no, I'm going to be stigmatized. And then it was a lot for me. And for some reason, instantly it seemed like something was taken off my eyes, like a cloud was lifted off my eyes. And I was able to see that, oh, I could actually be that voice. I could actually be that person speaking for the sake of other people. I can actually help someone else to come out of their shell and be able to advocate for people like our child, and be able to stand for them, because they are not, you should be their first advocate. Even from the family, sometimes you get some treatment from the younger ones, family advocacy and all that. We start from there because sometimes you get some treatment and you have to be the voice to say, no, don't do that. You don't do that to this person. Okay. And from there, if you take it out to the society, people will begin to understand that it is wrong to treat people like that in certain ways. And so that was how I embraced that call and started working towards it. It wasn't easy, but again, that is the role of mentorship. I see it as is a mentorship thing, okay? And I am willing to come out and through my program, my initiatives, help lift other people away from out of where I was, because I understand I was somewhere and that place I was bottled me up. But if I'm able to lift one or two people and they're able to lift one or two people, it's a chain reaction. And before you know it, a lot of people are lifted and we begin to speak up. And people begin to understand that these children, they are not possessed. They are not witches. They are not spoiled. They are not, sometimes you see a child like that. Many people don't even know they are children. They are referred to as children with special needs. They refer to them as a lot of unprintable names, a lot of unspeakable titles they give to these children. And those children grow into adults. That's the truth. They will grow into adults someday. So you don't begin to lower their self-esteem. You don't begin to talk down on them and you expect them to grow into something promising. No, it begins to affect their mindset. So that's my aim. My aim now is to make sure that I lift as much as someone has given me a hand and lifted me, I should be able to give one or two or more people hands and also lift them so we can form that chain and lift other people and speak up. Because if you continue to keep quiet, nobody will speak for people like that.
You're so right. You're so right. You're so right. It's a huge responsibility. I'm happy that you made mention of Adeola. Um, yeah,
You know what?
it's a small word. In fact, I was going to send your contact to her so that she can reach you because I know that this is what she does. But anyway, you already know her. That is perfectly fine now.
My
Um,
mentor,
that's
and
very
she's
good. That's very good.
amazing.
I'm
She
going
is
to I'm
amazing.
going to tell her that I met one of her mentees today. She's an angel. I usually tell her.
She is. She is.
All right. You see, here where I am in Italy, but I believe in different other places, people with disability are not treated with disrespect because you are not supposed to do that. Because these are human beings that have difficulty not on the fault of their own. So the
Yes.
minimum we can do is to allow them to live as human beings because they are passing through stress. We have no reason to add to that stress. We have no absolutely reason to do that. You see, for the fact that you are born with two hands, it's not out of your own making. You didn't do that.
I mean,
For the fact that you can walk on your 2 feet, it's not because you were smart. You see, this life is simple if we make an effort to understand it.
honestly,
Somebody say, "Oh, I am born an Hausa and Igbo, better." But how many fight did you make to be born an Igbo, a Hausa, a Yoruba, a Hutu, a Tutsi, a Christian, a Muslim, a European, and African? You didn't make any effort.
effort.
You were just born like that. The same is true for somebody who was born, but she cannot hear or he cannot hear. He cannot see or she
Exactly.
cannot see. We can't punish
Exactly.
those people for nothing. They haven't done anything.
Yeah, right.
What is the awareness going on around you? Because now you're an advocate, you are also helping other people. You see, there is also a psychological benefit to this. As you are helping other people, your problem become less.
A lot.
If you
A lot
don't,
less.
the other people will be coming, your problem will be becoming smaller. The problem is still there, but it will become smaller. And as you are
Exactly.
helping other people, you're also learning new tricks on how to help yourself.
Exactly.
So share with me the state of awareness about autism or people with special needs in Nigeria or in Enugu where you are, because you are in Enugu, right?
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
All right. First of all, I would say that the first step I made when I realized this was to, because as a university student, I was a Rotaractor. I had joined Rotaract, so I had an idea of what it was. Although towards my final year, because I was avoiding a lot of distractions, and so I became inconsistent. And after I left school, like I told you, I got the bank job and I was away from anything Rotaract. And so after the job was gone, I started thinking of reuniting with Rotaract. Okay, so when I had my child, the first thing I thought of was, oh, let me try and locate Rotary Club and join and see if I could meet people. It could expose me to people who have the same problem. It's not a social media thing. I wanted to have that one-on-one interaction with people who have the same issue and who need such help, not as Rotarians, but people that Rotarians help. And so it helped me. Yes, I moved into Rotary, but Rotary have their own standard and areas of focus, what we call areas of focus. And in that areas of focus, you wouldn't see the people living with disabilities, particularly. So it now made me feel like, no, I think I need to think more. I need to do more. Okay. And that was how I was able to start up my initiative, the Special Needs Project. For now, still limited to LinkedIn, Instagram, and a little of Twitter. It's been a lot of work, trying to sensitize people, post articles and educational um, articles there to be able to reach out the vulnerable population, the people who need to know about those living with special needs and the society in general, because a lot of people are not informed. They just need to get informed. And so they begin to treat people better, and not think there's something they did wrong to warrant such situations. Okay. And I've also reached out to some organizations in Enugu here. I'm sure of two, that I've been able to interact with. We are trying to partner on a project. It's going to be a very big project. I also discussed it with my mentor, Adola, Dr. Adola, okay? And she encouraged me and she said, okay, go ahead and discuss with these people and see how you can partner with them. Okay, and this just has to do with working with people living with special needs, people living with autism. The awareness is not great. I must tell you, in Enugu here is not great because many people don't want to come out and speak. That's the same issue I had. If I speak now and they are going to just think something is wrong with me, or it may have been because I wasn't good enough, while being a mother that caused this. It could be a village-related issue, something like that. So some people link these things to diabolism and all of that. So it's a lot of drama going on. And so it's difficult to get people to speak. So I have also had a lot of research interest, and we are out actually trying to make a publication including Dr. Adeola and one other public health expert, trying to speak to these people, understand the challenges they have, because my next project or initiative, okay, which is coming up with these people, I would want to, I've been able to speak to a lot of pediatric neurologists and neurologists in general, to be able to understand that people like that are able to cope with such program, because a lot of people are focusing on something like autism. They say, oh, they are nonverbal, they don't communicate. And so it's always a speech therapy thing, speech. So, but I am looking at making out of their silence, let's capitalize on what they are able to do, even with the silence. So as a chess enthusiast, okay, that is where that project, that initiative is coming to play. I'm trying to build a body, okay, that can be able to mentor these children to play chess, even as they are, okay. Let's help their problem-solving skills. Many of these autistic children, they don't concentrate, they lack concentration. Okay, so chess is a game that helps people concentrate. Okay, so it's something I want to build from a particular age. Once I see that child is able to understand what I'm talking about, and that is where my research is tilting towards. I want to make enough research and have enough evidence that I'm able and we are able to carry out this project with these children. And then we kickstart that project. And we'll be able to teach these children how to play chess. So it's not all about speech. They should learn how to speak. So many of them are very good in arithmetic. They are very good in mathematics, problem solving and all that. So they will be able to cope. A lot of neurologists have confirmed this, that they will be able to cope. And so that is what we are trying to achieve through the publication we are doing and through this chess initiative. I'm trying to get a lot of people on board, both chess coaches and neurologists and advocates, as well. Okay, and I'm going to definitely start from Enugu here.
Thank you for that.
Organization here.
That's a very laudable project, no? And also for the fact that you are looking at the issue from a different perspective. People, even when they are researching, they always want to tie themselves to the same solution that will be provided. Whereas what humanity is asking for is there another way to look at this thing? Is there a different way to see the same objective, the same thing that we already know? Can we see it differently this time? Because I think if we do that, we'll have more solution to the same problem. And our life will make more meaning. I'm not saying that people should have problems for them to be able to understand life, but you don't even know where the meaning is going to come from. So you can as well say, instead of saying, give me money, for example, teach me how to. The how is better than the you don't tell people, give me food. What if you could tell them to give you the resources to prepare the food? Now you can do it the way you want, you see? Because if they give you the food that is already prepared, they do it according to their taste, according to how they want to eat, and according to what they want to eat. But if you say, give me the resources to prepare food, now you can cook it the way you want it. You can even divide it and split it into two. You add a little bit of twist here and there. I'm saying that it is really interesting that you are saying, instead of just focusing on speech, I'm not saying speech is bad. I believe that you agree with me. But why don't we allow the children to also, because they already know how to do other things, let's maybe leverage on that. Maybe let's teach them about problem solving. There are some problems that we are dealing with because we believe that we know very well, we can run very fast. Okay, now let me put it this way. Human being is a very complex machine. Of the potential that we have, we can't even use 10% of it before we die because we are too complex. For example, you don't use your sense of noticing the distance between you and an object before you, the senses, no? Because it's not only eyes that you can use to see.
Okay.
If you lose your sight, can you see something is coming to you? Of course, you will sense it. But because you can see, you don't develop the other area. But there are some animals that have developed that very well, particularly those that are blind, no? They don't see, but they see in the sense that they see differently, no? I am saying that because there are some people that might have some certain challenges, if we tell them to profess solution to the society, they will tell us what we have been ignoring, that we come to become better. So why don't we allow all of us to add from our vantage point? I think that is going to be very interesting. So tell me about how do you reach out to people? Even though it might be challenges, I understand. There are some people that don't want to talk about it, I understand. But there are still some individuals there, like for example, you met Dr. Adeola, and today you are become an advocate. That is who you are now. There are some people out there like you there who have the chance to be able to speak up because nobody have been able to trigger them in a way that they can really open up. So tell me, what are your way of reaching out to people?
Right. Basically, because I am in the field. Okay. I tell people I am in the field like every week, every other week. I am in the clinic either for physiotherapy for my child or for speech therapy or for, to see the ophthalmologist or the ENT doctor. And so I meet a lot of these people, okay? And like I said, it's tough to get them to speak up, to want to speak up. And the truth is that majority are not, I don't want to say educated. They are not, they don't understand exactly what came to them and how to follow it up. I like I was discussing with Dr. Adeola, I told her that one thing I did when I experienced this, and I believe that the first way to solve a problem was to know it, to understand it. Like I told you, when I was told that my child had seizures, I didn't know what seizures were. I was my first time of, I think, hearing it. If I heard it, it must have been in the passing. I didn't take notes. But that was the first time I was there, and I asked the doctor, what's that? And he started explaining. So the first thing I did was I embarked on a journey to learn. Okay, I told myself that every month I'm going to undergo a course, a care course, a course relating to care. I did a lot of courses, medication administration. I went to a lot of platforms, the online platforms, the Coursera, Allison, Florence Academy, Read. I went to a lot of platforms and found courses that could teach me, because at some point I was scared. My child who was having seizures, up to 20, 30 seizures in a day, and I was scared that someday she's going to either choke or suffocate. I did courses such as first aid, AED, and resuscitation, a way to attend to her, before I get to the clinic, to be sure that, assuming I'm feeding her and she begins to seize and she chokes, how do I do it? Okay, so the first thing is to help people to learn. And within 6 months, I had achieved my goal. I had at least gotten 5 courses. I had finished up to 5 to 6 courses. And they taught me a lot. It taught me a lot when where it had to do with caregiving. Taught me a whole lot. And so trying to reach out to these people, when I see them every day, I try to interact with people. Whenever we walk into the clinic, whether physiotherapy or speech therapy or any other therapy or any other appointment we have, the neurology appointment, I try to speak to someone. I try to establish a contact and then begin to encourage that person. And hopefully, a handful of them understand at least, what is at stake or what they are involved in. Okay. And so the idea is to help educate, like what we are talking about today, to let people get educated about this situation. Okay. I try to encourage them to learn, to know. I share articles. Many of them are not on those platforms where I share my articles. Okay, many of them don't even have a mobile phone. It's that bad. Many of such people are not on social media. Okay, so at least to get them to talk, you have to call. So sometimes I reach out, I call them and I find out. I've had a woman who said, no, the medication they gave to my child, madam, it's going to kill my child. I want to stop it. I said, no, you can't stop your child's medication by yourself. Just take her to the clinic. Okay. So I encouraged her until she went to the clinic the next Friday. I said, don't stop, continue giving it to her, because she was feeling, okay, it's a Friday clinic. And so I have to wait for another 3 to 4 days to go. And these seizures are not stopping. My child is reacting. I said, is either you take her to the emergency, okay, at the clinic, so she could be treated. The consultants will come in there and see her, or you continue the medication until that Friday, and then she gets the proper treatment and the proper advice. If they want to take off the medication, they will take it off and replace it. Because sometimes these medications, you take off the medication yourself and it causes more harm than good. Okay. And it's only the expert that knows, or if I take off this, which one do I replace it with? Or how do I take off this? Some of those medications, you need to gradually wean the child off that medication, okay? And it's something that is a gradual process. They will taper down, from tapering down the dose to weaning, gradually. It might take up to 2 months before that child is weaned off that medication. You don't just stop. Like when my child was on prednisolone, I remember, and the doctor said, this particular medication can't just be stopped. And so I took notes and I had to go and read more about prednisolone. I'm that curious. Anyway, not everyone have that access. Okay, many of these people are they are business women. They're always at their shops, looking for money because it's expensive to care for a child with special needs. So I don't even blame them, because the medications are not cheap. Okay, so if you're telling the woman, oh, you need to set an alarm, so that you can always give this child this medication, it's not something you forget because you're pursuing money, you're chasing business or chasing clients. They don't even understand. So they need that follow up. So I try as much as possible to reach out to anybody I see until I get this awareness, because I still have plans to have an awareness, something like an outreach, either at the clinic, because I know something like on Fridays, there are neurology clinic at the teaching hospital in Enugu here. Okay, on Wednesdays and Fridays, Wednesdays to Fridays, you can go to the physiotherapy clinic. So there you'll be able to see a lot of people who came for physiotherapy, and many of their children are either, having autism or cerebral palsy or Down syndrome, or, things like that. So I know where and how to see them. And then on Wednesdays, I know something like Thursdays is the eye clinic. So you're most likely to meet people at the eye clinic on those days. So I'm also working on trying to have an outreach that will bring these women, be able to speak to these women during the clinical days, the days they get to meet the consultant at the teaching hospital. Because if you go to private clinics, you're not going to get a large number of people. There are very few people. Personally, because I was referred to the public clinic, that is the teaching hospital. So I'm more used to people there. And that's where you have the number. You get to see that a lot of people, in fact, the first day I walked in there, I came back, I knelt down, I told God, I don't have a problem. Okay, because that's where you see people who have real challenges. Okay, and many of them want to wish it away. And so they prefer not to talk about it. They are either, trying to get back into their shell. So that is where what I have started doing, and that is where all my initiatives, that is where it's centered on advocacy, to get people to speak up. Because if you don't speak up, you won't get help. If I didn't speak up on that post on LinkedIn, I won't have gotten the help I got today to be able to advocate for other people, to be able to advocate for my child. First of all, for my child, because the truth is that you will be the first beneficiary before someone else.
This is a noble job, I think. Because it's like you said, when you entered into the hospital there, you see how much people really need help. And because we live in a society that is really double time challenging, even those that don't have problem are facing a lot of challenges, that they are being neglected. So I can even imagine how much those that have some challenges are just abandoned. Okay, maybe I might be tempted to ask, what kind of assistance are out there, help that might be out there for people that need help, like autism or children with disability or with special need? Maybe you can share with us.
None that I know of. I've been on this journey for 3 years. Okay. And thank you for that question. Okay, because I think we need to, it's part of what the advocacy is talking about, initiatives, policies that can help people out there. Like I said, it's expensive to raise a child with special needs. It's expensive to cater for someone, a loved one with special needs. Sometimes they are not just children. Like I said, they grow into adulthood and they require special schools, special education. It's not the random school that another child would go that they will thrive in. So you need to find that particular school for them and find out where they are going to get the best help and the best knowledge. So when I say help out there, I don't think there are. Not that I don't think, I have not experienced any. People don't talk about these things. I think the awareness is not there. That is what I have come to understand. The awareness is not there. Nobody is talking about it. Everybody is treating it as if it's business as usual, but it's not business as usual, because it's in my culture they will tell you it could be me today, tomorrow it will be you. If it's not you tomorrow, it could be your child. That's your child, that's your grandchild, could be the person. So the earlier we begin to talk about it, the better for us. The earlier we begin to reach out and help, the better for us. They're not helped. And when they write medications for you, and no matter the amount, except, you find someone, okay, who decides to undertake and pay your bill, you will pay the bills. There is no such thing as health insurance, except you have some in place. Incidentally, I don't have. So you have to pay from your pocket if you don't have. But if you have, I don't know how it's being funded. Maybe for those who work under a particular organization that is able to give them some form of health insurance. Okay. But there is no subsidizing medications. And I see that this is something that is worthy of doing. That is something that people out there that is philanthropists and people who want to help should think about helping. The government should also think about it, subsidizing these medications to the point that people are able to afford this thing. Sometimes I've seen people walk in and say, no, I'm not giving this medication again. It's quite expensive. There's a particular medication I know when we used to buy, it was 1,000 thereabout. Today, that medication is about 25,000. Okay, in the past 2 years. So everybody understands what getting medicine right now is in the country. It's outrageous, it's crazy, and it's not different for all the seizure meds that we have out there. Okay, it's not different from with all the other kind of medications that people living with special needs are usually placed on. Okay, so but when it comes to help, there are no clear assistance out there by the government. Okay, if there are individuals, then they are meeting people individually to assist, and that is what I'm looking at to work towards, to be able to speak, to liaise with the government, to walk into the Ministry of Health or wherever and speak to people about these things. Is there a way we can partner and subsidize these medications? Is there a way people can be assisted, to purchase these things at a lower rate? Is there a way people can even be shared? What do you call messages? Like you could have printed materials circulated to educate these people, at least the ones that can read. Okay, so these are noble initiatives that need to be embraced by individuals, governments, people who are able to help. Okay, who are able to help. It's not something one person can do alone. However, one person can start talking to people, start reaching out to people. And that is what I'm trying to do, to see if how many people I can reach out to, how many organizations I can reach out to, how many government parastatals I can be able to speak to about these things, to get help for people like myself and my child. Okay. Not basically because I need it, but I need it so much right now. Okay. But because I see people who sometimes they stop giving the medication because they are not able to afford it. Okay. It's crazy when somebody is struggling to put food on their table and you're giving them a medication of 75,000 that a child that won't even last the child for 1 month. Maybe after 2 weeks, the child will stop taking it, or the child will exhaust it and they need to buy another one. Okay, so sometimes you see people skipping such medications or not giving. And sometimes these medications, you don't even find them. You don't even find them. You get into the clinic, it's being prescribed, and the clinic doesn't even have it. That's the government clinic doesn't have it. You need to start going round the whole place looking for it. I've had to order a medication from Abuja. Okay. And I remember one that was prescribed for me, the consultant said, you need to order this medication from the US. I said, no, I won't do that. The reason is, if I order that medication from the US now, and then I run out of it before I'm able to replenish it or, stock up, what happens to my child that is surviving on that medication? That's the way I see it. Like, this is a medication that shouldn't be broken. Okay. And then you want me to order it from outside the country. I said, no, you need to give me options that are obtainable. Okay. And I know so many people may have been in such situation and they just go out there, look for it, and they don't find it, and they just stay there. They won't come and speak up that they didn't find it. And that child will not be having that medication. And whatever is happening to the child will continue. Government needs something about this medication. Government, some of them, you hear that the company left Nigeria. You hear they no longer import the medication. And if assuming government is involved, then government hospitals will have these medications there at a subsidized rate. It will be definitely cheaper than buying from the open market. And I've bought a fake medication from an open market. Okay. And it taught me a big lesson. My child was 4 months old, and she took that medication and everything turned upside down. That was Kepra. Can't forget. Okay. And no, not Kepra, Tegretol. Okay, that's the brand of carbamazepine. We struggled with that medication. And for 2 weeks, I remember calling the consultant. I said, my child is dying. And when we got to the clinic, he said, no, where did you buy this from? Maybe you bought fake. Because usually, because these medications are expensive, is the probability of getting a fake one in the open market is there. And so she had to tell me, okay, these are the places I would recommend you always go buy medication. And so if I don't find them in these places, what do I do? So these medications should let the government help and make these things available. You can't make everything available, but try. There is no measure in place. There's no place you will say, okay, the government has subsidized this here, go there, and you're going to get it at a cheaper rate, and it's always in stock. And these medications are medications that people survive on. Like, they can't, it's timed. If it's a 12-hourly medication, you have to just administer it at that time.
Talking of fake drugs, I don't know if I really could take that on a little bit, because I think it is important. You see, I was calling somebody who was having a complication. It's a family member of mine who have bought fake drugs in a government hospital, not in the open market.
Oh my goodness.
And because this person bought it in a hospital now, who do we sort of hold accountable? Okay, first, somebody is sick, he needs medicine, and is prescribed medicine, and the person buys it in the chemist that is supposedly controlled by the government. If this medicine happen to be a fake one, where are the people supposed to buy the right one? In any case, what I'm saying is, are there control for what is actually the fake drugs or the real drugs? So that, because the ordinary person do not know the difference. Honestly, they only know after they have taken it, and then it becomes a collateral damage at the end of the day. So that is why I don't know, maybe, do you hear this story from other people?
All right. Because I've experienced it firsthand, okay, I would have been saying, oh, I've never gotten a fake one. because I've experienced it firsthand. And I didn't buy it from the open market. I bought it from the government hospital where it was prescribed. Okay, I didn't buy it from the open market. But a lot of people too who have bought from the open market complained the same thing. And they said, and when I said, how do I buy a fake medication from here? And the doctor said, because they buy from the open market as well. They are supplied from the open market. Okay, now I don't know the measures in place, but I think that NAFDAC, this is the number one thing NAFDAC should have been called into. Okay, immediately he made that report, the doctor is meant to just take it up from there and bring in the NAFDAC official in the state to come and, how do I call it? Review
to check, no?
To review the medication and check to be sure that the open source that supplied the medication is not compromised. Okay, because it's a problem that the patients cannot even trust medications from the clinic. And a clinic as big as a teaching hospital, it's worrisome. Okay, it's worrisome, but it's possible because I experienced it. And what I'm trying to say is, if NAFDAC is able to step in and take control, somebody will be penalized. Somebody will be asked, okay, how did you get this medication? Who supplied it? There is a source. That source was paid. Okay, he's not just going to disappear. He or she is not going to disappear. And so what happens is the person should be held accountable. And then the person tell us where he or she produced from or where he or she got from. And then if it's just an interaction with my child, it must be established somehow, okay, instead of just sweeping it under the carpet. And I'm sure other people will go and buy from the same place. And then, but it made me lose faith buying from the clinic, okay, all the time. It made me lose faith. And I began to understand that I could also buy fake from them. And I can also buy fake from the open market.
That's quite worrisome. It's quite worrisome for people in special need who need help, and they buy, and the drugs are already expensive, not subsidized by the government, and the government still cannot control that. Criminals do not take advantage of that. So we exploit the system so much that the people are suffering, and the food that they are going to eat is already poison. Nobody cares whether that poison is going to reach. I don't want to turn the argument political, but this is not fair.
It is not.
It is not fair. Anyway, like I said again, we do political argument here. Certainly it can be hot, but I don't want to turn this one into that. All right, now, what would be your final thought here to conclude the conversation? I want to be a little bit emotional, so let's leave it there.
Okay. In conclusion, I would first of all like to appreciate you for the work you're doing. Trying to help people tell their stories. Okay. And for having me, I would also want to thank you. Okay, and I want to encourage anyone out there who knows someone, who had been in my situation or who is currently in my situation and who has passed through taking care of a child living with special needs or a loved one living with special needs, to be steadfast, be strong. Okay, it's not the end of the world. Many of us see it as my world has crumbled. That was the way I saw it when mine started. At the beginning, it took me a lot of time, and thank God for the courses that I took that I told you about, because it made me begin to understand what I was into. So if the encouragement should always be that people get some form of knowledge, some form of education, try to reach out. The internet is there. There are lots and lots of resources for you to learn, because the more you learn about the circumstance, the better for you, while hoping for a miracle, because many of us are also waiting hoping for a miracle, to happen and take away all our pains and our worries. Okay. That miracle may or may not come, because if it's God's purpose for you, it's best you embrace it. Like you said, Obehi, you said something about the more you accept it, the lighter it becomes. The more you share it, the lighter it becomes. And that's perfect. I am a clear example of someone who has been able to share a story, or someone who is speaking up, and it has made my burden lighter in so many ways. It has also helped me think about the things I can do to better my child tomorrow. I think of her when she's 10, when she's 8, when she's 15, when she hits the 20. How is she going to be? How is she going to cope? And whatever I'm doing now is to make life easier for her at that time. And for people like her, both now and older people. Okay, so the more we accept that these things happen, and it's nobody's making. It's not. Don't blame yourself. The self blame could be destructive. Okay, it destroys a lot of people. When you wallow in self blame, self pity, some couples even begin to blame each other. There's something you did wrong. I've been at the physiotherapy clinic where couples started fighting, and the woman and the man, they are blaming each other for what you did and what you didn't do, And when they left, I spoke to the doctors. I was like, is this how they have been? I'm just experiencing this for the first time. And the doctor said, those people, that's the way they are. Whenever they come, they fight over things, they should have fought over in the house. But you sometimes it's the frustration, so I not like I want to blame them. I don't blame them. I feel for them, honestly, because it's a heavy one. And many homes, many marriages have been torn apart for this reason. Sometimes the man cannot just hold on, can't stay. And sometimes the woman too cannot stay. And sometimes all this brings about carelessness that could even harm the child. Children thrive where there is love, where they know they are loved and appreciated. And the situation gets better. Their circumstance gets better when they know that they are loved and cherished. But when they see that it's always chaos, it's always fight, it's always blame, it's always, they are not accepted. It worsens the situation, it worsens the child's case. Okay, so I'm going to encourage everyone or anyone who is out there, who is listening, to please take it easy and choose the right side. The right side you choose is the right side of your child. The right side to speak up for your child, to speak up for yourself, to stand in the gap for your child, to stand against stigmatization, no form of bullying, no form of stigmatization. Let nobody talk down on you or your child. Don't take it. No matter what, you are the child's number one fighter. You're the child's number one advocate. You're your loved ones. No, it doesn't always, imagine you're at some point, you as an adult, many adults encounter life's challenges, either an accident or something, and something happens, something goes wrong. Their bodies are no longer the way it used to be. Somebody will stand up for you. Somebody will speak up for you. Not now. Think about a child that was born just like that. It's not his or her making. She didn't bargain for it, or he didn't bargain for it. He didn't ask to be born like that. Okay? And trust me, it's not something you did or you didn't do, because there is nothing God wouldn't have been able to avert. So for that child to come that way, a purpose. So my last word is that you see everything in your life, everything that life throws at you, take it and make out something great from it. And you see the world will become a better place for all of us.
Thank you so much, Nneka. Thank you. I appreciate that. I really do. Yeah, that encouragement is really is deep for people to appreciate, and it is a good one. That we need to know that whatever have happened to us, we couldn't change it, because if we could change it, we would certainly have changed it. But now this is the way it is. So let's take it and make the best out of it. If we keep fighting over it, maybe you are blaming your husband, or the husband is blaming the wife, or maybe the couple are blaming the government, or we are blaming God, or we are blaming the culture, blaming the society, we will never go out of it. Instead, let's use our common sense. Let's make the best out of the situation. It wasn't our making, it happened. So let's trust also on that nature which we are part of, that we will be able to do this. But of course, speaking up to other people that look like us, other people that are maybe passing through the same challenges. There are a lot of people out there who have decided to pick up this course because it have affected, they not affected somebody near to them. Therefore, they are saying that it shouldn't be this way. That is what Nneka is doing, saying it shouldn't be like this. Let's help you. Let's help each other. Let's give our shoulder to someone who is crying to cry on. The problem is still there, no doubt, but it's going to be a different kind of problem this time. Because with all the people put together, will we be able to overcome? There is no problem bigger than a people. But if every person is to take care of the problem, it will always be a bigger problem because you cannot fix it alone. But if we face it together, we will be able to do this. I know it is not easy. I know it is not easy that a child, a parent, or a couple have to have a child that have difficulty. It is not easy. And if you live in Nigeria, where we have a situation that is even more complicated, it is not easy. But don't let it cripple you. Seek help for those who can help you. Maybe by the time you talk to maybe 2 or 3 people that look like you that are passing through the same stress, you will think, because when you put your minds together, a solution will come out.
Yeah.
If you keep it to yourself, it's not helpful. Yeah. So thank you so much for speaking up, Nneka, and I encourage you to please keep it up. It is important. The people need you, you see. Thank you for the work that you are doing.
Thank you for having me, Obehi. Thank you. I appreciate it.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it too.